September 9, 1950. My darling, I've read your very wonderful letter several times today, and it has helped to cheer me through the day as I am so tired. Oh, darling, I've been thinking of so much today, I just don't know where to begin. October 1950. My darling, I read your letter at least a half a dozen times since I received it, which was an hour ago. I got it earlier than that, but I wanted to be alone when I read it, so I gave the kids their dinner first and took a rest on the bed while reading it. I was quite groggy, I don't know why. Oh, sweetheart, I held your letter to my heart after reading it and cried a little. I kept saying, darling, 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 just as if you were there with me. To you, darling, I wonder if you realize, I wonder if you know how much you fill my thoughts, sweetheart, as the days all come and go. I wonder if this Christmas note will tell in some degree how much I wish you happiness and how dear you are to me.
In 1949, my father left Ireland for New York City, invited there by his Uncle Mike, in whose garage he would be employed as a mechanic, the blue-collar work to which his incomplete education would limit him for the rest of his life. He left behind him my mother, Maura, my sister, Mary, and me. The letter passages and the Christmas card message, which you heard just moments ago, come from a collection of letters written between April and December of 1950. They are full of heartfelt emotion, anxieties of separation, and ongoing worry about the future. But they were not written by my mother. They were author is a woman named Millie, and they are all that I will ever know of her and of the man my father was when he knew her. The Eamon O'Keefe that Millie met late in 1949 was young, blue-eyed, charming by all accounts, physically strong but psychologically shaky. He missed his wife and children, and so was prone to drinking too much. He was also talented, a self-taught musician who began playing the Irish accordion on radio programs when he was 14 years old. The affair that developed between him and Millie offers all the passionate emotion natural between young people in love.
Today I have been so very happy. Being with you last night was so wonderful, and oh so short. Where did the 3 hours go, darling? They seemed to fly by, and I hated so much to leave you. It was so lovely to talk to you on the phone at noontime. I have been quite miserable, but after talking to you and knowing everything is okay, I feel a lot better. Darling, darling, I do love you so much more than mere words can say. I dream of our dates and hate when I can't see you for a couple of days. I get sort of blue, but when the day comes that I am to see you, I'm happy all over again.
But it also offers, just as starkly, the tensions natural to a liaison between individuals who are both married. He connected to a wife and 2 children an ocean away in Ireland, and she living daily with a husband, Danny, and a young daughter, Alice. And so 2 themes dominate the affair as it is captured in her letters to him, the deep passion that she develops for him and her inevitable fears of discovery. Millie writes, most often, in response to the expressive pressures created by her feelings. Her letters are composed at home, when her husband is either at work or asleep, on the road, when she and Danny vacation in July, even when she and her husband take a daytime boat tour around Manhattan.
Now I'm on this boat and hating it. I wish now that I would not have come, because all I can think of is you, darling. It would have been a perfect day, Oh, why think of it now? We could have such a long day together. I'll have to close now, sweetheart. He almost caught me writing this a few minutes ago. Remember how I love you, dear. I hope you feel better today.
And although there are no copies of his letters, he is writing as passionately to her as her own comments reveal.
Well, sweet, I was thinking of last night while reading over your letter. I guess you could say I was a bit naughty, especially after your nice letter. It was so sweet, darling, because after reading it, it made me realize so very much how you really do love me.
But the tensions and the fearful worries thread throughout as well. Early on, Millie writes of her own uncertainty and guilt.
After I left you on Wednesday, I got on the train and did a great deal of thinking. I didn't read your letter until I arrived home. But as I sat there writing up, I felt very cheap and guilty about everything. Like meeting you. That was a mistake, for I just can't feel right about it. I also started thinking about a few other things, like drifting into an affair and only hating myself more later on because I don't think we would ever get married.
Within a week of this letter, however, she writes to admit that she can no longer imagine any kind of breakup with him.
But I write to tell you this, and everything in this letter is straight from my heart. We shall let this situation remain as it is for the present, as I feel you would rather it that way. I'll say goodbye until tonight, darling, and I love you deeply.
Once she feels certain that they are both truly in love, her worries turn quite naturally toward a fear of discovery.
I called at 2:15 p.m. and Mike came on. Of course, who else? I asked him if you were there, and he very sarcastically answered you were. He seems to think there is a lot going on. I guess you know what I mean. Anyway, he said he is going to expose the whole thing and is not going to cover up for us any longer. If anyone asks him what is going on, he is going to tell them.
And then eventually to the hope that, difficult as it is bound to be, they can free themselves from their marriage and create an enduring future together.
Oh, darling, as you said in your letter, when all this comes out in the open, and if neither your wife or Danny will give us our freedom, I shall go away with you. I love you so terribly much, I'd rather die than not be with you.
And then, in early September, a new concern enters, the certainty that Eamon will soon be drafted for service in the Korean War, which had begun as a civil conflict on June 25th, and which U.S. troops would enter only 10 days later on July 5th. From September 9th on, Millie's letters circle back again and again to the future she hopes she will have with my father, and to the two most important realities that will shape that future, Eamon's inevitable service in the American Army and the need for him to separate from his wife, Maura.
In the event you are not drafted, your wife will be here in a few months, and I think after that we can solve things much better. I know it's going to be tough in the beginning, sweet, and God knows you won't be able to see me much for a while. But, oh, darling, there's no doubt in my mind or yours of our love, not any more. And knowing how gloriously we love and want each other, we are sure to be one some day soon.
This, along with her continued and deepening love for him, is the substance of the letter's concerns from September until we reach the final document in the collection, the Christmas card of December 25th, 1950. He did, early in 1951, go into the army, where he was, luckily, posted not to Korea but to Germany. From there he was able to pay a single visit during an early furlough to his family in Ireland. And because his service entitled him and us to an accelerated process of immigration and naturalization, we came, by boat, in January of 1953. Although Millie reached out to him for several months after our arrival, the affair was over. For him, the future would hold 3 more children, a difficult struggle to maintain a wife and family of 5 on a single blue-collar income, and a deepening struggle, several decades long, with alcohol, an addiction he would finally escape a decade before his sudden death at the age of 61. The letters that you've seen and heard came into my mother's possession just 4 months ago, in March of 2007, and into mine 2 months later. They have given me a strange and unexpected window into the life of a man who always maintained an intense privacy, as Millie herself noted in one of her letters. Those letters are, of course, a deeply conflicted gift, but the pains they must have cost all the young people eventually caught up in the affair, the 2 husbands, the 2 wives, belong to a time long past. What I have been given so unexpectedly is a rare opportunity to recognize an individual, in all of his young flaws and desires, his needs and his mistakes, and in some of his fullness. Not Dad, not Pop, but a man named Eamon, the man who, for a small arc of months, more than half a century ago, sparked the love of this woman named Millie, whose image I have never seen, whose last name I don't know, but whose letters bring him back to life, and back to me, in an incomplete and mysterious, but also an irreplaceable way.
That is Eamon at his best.